I am a poor lover, but I'm an excellent friend, I'm a great business partner, and every relationship outside of intimate, romantic, sexual relationships, I'm really in integrity. I'm honest. That was me, right? That was me. And that is many of us. And I had a client ask me the other day, why is this so? Why am I so good in business? Why am I such a reliable, trustworthy friend? But when it comes to marriage, intimacy, romantic partnerships, I suck. I hurt other people. I panic. I'm in fear. I'm in a contracted state. I'm not healthy in that relationship. Passive aggressive. I'm angry. I cheat. I was listening to this and I thought, wow, this sounds like me many years ago. And so let's break this down. Firstly, our romantic, intimate partnerships, our sexual partnerships, they are direct, largely unconscious and conscious reminders of the relationships that were forged in our youth during our developmental and formative years with our primary caregivers, our parents. Often, the relationships we have as adults, the intimate relationships, specifically the sexual romantic partnerships that we have as adults, are reflections of the relationships we had with our parents or our primary caregivers, those that looked after us, those that we bonded with or attempted to bond with at the beginning of our lives. For me, that bond was very disorganized. Violence, volatility, uncertainty, up and down. There's love, there's not. There's love, there's not. It's safe to be loved. It's safe to express love. It's safe to be me. It's definitely not. And that confusion played out, that pattern, those patterns, because it's about patterns, right? It's not about the actual thing. It's about the patterns that underlie the experience or the expression that we're seeing, right? The end result, the outcome, the action, right? The dynamic. It's what's underneath that. And so that's what played out in my life. And so my friendships, loyal, in integrity, reliable, trustworthy, available. Because I also used, personally for me, I used my friendships as a teenager to move away from home. And so there was a lot of trust built there. So I laid foundations. My experience and my belief was, well, this is safe. Business was the same. I wanted to be seen in a particular way. But what I witnessed growing up, not only amongst my own parents, but other parents, other unhealthy relationships, examples of unhealthy relationships, was this disconnection in union. So I just thought, that's how it's meant to be. You're meant to cheat. You're meant to be dishonest. You're meant to argue. It's normal. It's what you do. And you take the good when it comes, and that's how it is. And without ever analyzing, without ever reflecting upon, just taking it for what it was, that's what I thought. And so until we heal those wounds, those traumas, those beliefs that we have around relationship, that intimacy isn't safe, that love isn't safe, that I have to protect and defend myself at all times, until we do that, until we come to peace with that and heal those parts of ourselves, we will keep playing out those relationships or similar relationship dynamics over and over again until we close the loop on that trauma. Because the consistency or continuity or regularity of that same similar experience but with different people is an attempt for your nervous system and your entire being to have a redo of that situation, to heal it, to give you, to demonstrate that it's possible to be in healthy intimacy. And until we realize that, until we embrace that and start to do that work, and that means holding greater awareness. That means being kind when we've been cruel. That means being compassionate towards ourselves. That means practicing non-judgment. That means rediverting our aggression or our impatience. That means choosing not to stonewall when that's what we would do as a protective strategy to help ourselves and that little boy or girl within feel safe. Because that's essentially what's happening. These patterns that are playing out that are somewhat have morphed and have been distorted over time and amplified over time are also being amplified by unresolved childhood issues. But the patterns are also being amplified by the simple fact that you have been applying them throughout your life over and over again. They're getting bigger and wonkier, and as they get bigger and wonkier, they move away from the core pattern that was developed when you were younger, which worked for you, kept you safe, but it's not going to continue to bring you intimacy and love and the things that you crave and desire in your conscious mind as an adult. So we have to heal those patterns. And we heal them in relationship generally, and out of relationship, of course, but in relationship by choosing to be different. So letting that little boy or girl know that they're safe, placing a hand on your heart and a hand on your belly, or a hand on your heart and a hand on your cheek, activating the parasympathetic nervous system response, the ventral vagal nervous system response, letting your body know that you're safe in that moment. That plays a huge role in regulating you, so you don't go to the old coping strategies in the past, right, that have brought you safety, but at the same time have brought you disconnection and pain, or a sense or a perceived sense of safety at the least. I don't want to say a false sense of safety, but a sense of safety that's being blown out of proportion. So by doing this, making contact with your body, you're activating your physiology. You're letting your body and brain know that it's safe to be. And if you accompany some slow breathing with that, and you close your eyes and you think about certain things that feel endearing to you and safe for you, you begin to calm down and regulate your physiology. And from that place, you can choose differently, right? Now, you can place agreements, have agreements with your partner with what that looks like. But you have to be able to explore and be aware of these things within you, these patterns, these dynamics, these ways of thinking and your models of reality and seeing the world and feeling in order to do that. And what can support with that is having a coach or a therapist or a guide or a group or people that can see you beyond what you can see, right? They can see the forest through the trees, because we often can't. They can support you. They can grant and give you perspectives that you may then contemplate for yourself. But you also have to then be in enough humility to seek support and to also then want to change, because there's a pain barrier with change, right? Like change, we don't want to change because change is so familiar. It's the last thing we want to do. But change can be the healthiest thing for us. And so it's not that you suck in relationships. It's that there's a part of you that feels really unsafe and unprotected, and you're responding, or rather reacting, from that part. So you're reacting from that pain point. So we heal the pain, we heal the core wounds from the past, the initial inflictions of that. We cease to amplify so much what's happening in the world today, in our world today, in our relationship. So for example, if your partner is being snippy with you and you experience that from your mother growing up, and you haven't really dealt with that, you haven't dealt with that suppressed sense of self, that feeling disempowered and unworthy. Everything in your body, the moment it recognizes an iota of that snippiness, it's going to amplify the protective strategies that you used as a kid. Let's say it's shutting down, and you're going to do that as an adult, but it's going to be very obvious. You're going to shut down, stonewall, you're going to get out. That's going to cause disharmony in the relationship. Your partner's going to start to panic. They're going to start coming from their own pain body. And all of a sudden, you've got two pain bodies. And you're better than that, and you're more than that. And it hurts to move through the pain, but we can move through it once and for all, as opposed to keep playing it out and continuing to be on replay. And that's the opportunity that we have. And that's the healing that intimacy gives us. Often the triggers or the activations that we receive from our partners are the very thing that we need to heal. The requests that they make are the very requests that are going to serve our higher self and heal those parts of us in our bodies and in our minds, in our psyches, in our fields that feel shattered and feel broken and feel so deeply traumatized.